I tend to watch as little television as possible. But it is difficult to not see all of the street marches that are presently taking place. Most are about inflation and the cost of living, assassinations, or what is happening in the Middle East. Do you believe that these types of marches will be more common than ever before?
Yes, I'm afraid to say I do think that is going to be the case. And to that list, you can add, I think, declining economies leading to higher unemployment. The fall in the purchasing power of fiat currencies basically will pop the equity bubble. So that I think there's going to be financial chaos. You can add that to the list. And as part and parcel of all this, you've got governments struggling to balance their books. Their immediate response is to try and tax anywhere they can. So anyone who's rich is vulnerable to that sort of taxation. And any government which is sensible and realizes that that actually produces negative returns, in other words, it just makes the situation worse, is going to face enormous pressure from those who would say that they're losing out on this, that the emphasis in government policy is completely wrong. We've already got this very clearly in France. Macron has tried to cut welfare costs, to try and balance the budget, and governments have fallen, prime ministers have had to resign and all the rest of it. They just cannot get it through. And France is a great, the French people really do riot very, very easily. They make their feelings known. We're going to see a lot more of that. I think also Germany is a bit of a tinderbox. I do think what's going on in Germany is extremely concerning. You can already see that the finances there are going horribly wrong. The yield on the 10-year Bund is already going into new high ground, leading all the other bonds, all the other government bonds. Japan is the same. No, I think that the demise of the fiat currency system is going to create havoc on the streets. Of that, I have absolutely no doubt. And it gives me no pleasure to say that at all, because I'm not an anarchist. I do not support any form of anarchist. I support the rule of law, the rule of sensible law, admittedly, rather than nonsense law. So the answer to your question is yes, I do see further disruption of that sort. And it's going to vary from nation to nation. Some nations naturally take to the streets more than others. As I say, you're going to see this particularly in France, and I think Germany is going to be another hotspot in Europe. America, yeah, I mean, you're going to get that there. We've already seen with the assassination of Charlie Kirk that there is this growing backlash, perhaps, behind the left and President Trump and his Republicans. It's going to be all over. And I think this is just the start of it. So it's going to be very difficult for governments to navigate their way through the demise of their primary means of financing, and that is money printing.
Well, with all of that, Alistair, I would say, and I think Darryl would agree with me, that buying gold and silver is not a trade. It's not to trade with, it is to store and to put away for these rough times ahead of us. So if you're ever thinking about trading gold, silver for some other commodity, I wouldn't do it. I'd be making sure I had plenty of gold and silver to store away to make sure that our own families can see good years ahead.